Hi, and welcome to Movie Critical. I'm your host, Brant.
And I'm Brindy.
We are brother and sister. Those of you that know us know that we can argue and tease each other without getting offended, so please don't think after this that we're going to go and duke it out. Okay. So today we're talking about a movie called Vantage Point that we went and saw today, and Brindy and I were thinking that we had some similar reviews and some similar opinions on this movie, but we're also differing in some of the things that we want to talk about.
Right, and we want to start out by talking about our socks, because this is how we're going to rate movies on our show, is by socks. It blew our socks off. So what we were debating is blowing a whole sock off, blowing half the sock off.
I say that it blew one of my socks clean off, okay, because it was a great time at the cinema. It's got a lot of great action sequences and explosions and car chases, and it's worth seeing once. I can't say that I would buy it.
I would say rent it. It only blew half of my sock off, and I don't think you should have it blow a whole sock off, because what? Are you seriously blew a whole sock off?
Well, see, if I said to you that it blew half of my sock off and it blew half of your sock off, that means that all of these top-notch actors and this top-notch director in a movie that had a great plot and great potential as a movie got like a D or an F grade, on our 4 socks off total.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, if you give it half a sock, then we go see like a really great movie. Like, I just think it's disparaging.
Yes, but a great movie, like the Bourne series,
a whole other
for me,
off.
No, it would get 3 more socks off. You understand? Because there's a potential of having 4 socks blown off completely for a great movie. On this one, we're going to give it 1.5 socks off. I think that's a good grade for me, and I'm going to tell you why. I was a little disappointed, I have to say, with some of the direction. There's some hokey parts in the movie. We don't want to go into a lot of detail and tell you why, what's going on in the plots, but I was a little bit disappointed because there was no character development. It left me hanging. I couldn't attach myself to any of the characters.
There was a little bit of character development, but you're right. It was lacking overall in the overall scheme of things. There was character development throughout. But I'm saying there was some character development. I mean, Dennis Quaid was taking pills. That was, talking about some of his past.
Yeah, a whole lot of character development. Yeah, it shows one clip of his past. But, Matthew Fox. Matthew Fox, brilliant actor. You know him from the hit, award-winning show Lost.
Right. No character development at all.
On him, yeah.
Right.
I mean, I compare this movie a little bit to Lost because I was lost, to be honest with you. Some people compare this movie to Groundhog's Day. I love Groundhog's Day. I thought it was so funny how Bill Murray went every day and made it different and hilarious and freaking out and doing all this stuff. I don't compare it to that. There was a little bit of redundancy from the standpoint of it shows these different vantage points of a few different people. And 20 to 30 minutes in, I got a little bit tired of seeing that. But then it continued on and gave us a reason to want to stay.
I don't think it should be compared at all to Groundhog Day, because Groundhog Day, like you said, was one day that Bill Murray lived over and over again, and no one else knew what was going on. They did everything the same unless he acted differently. But this movie had nothing to do with that. This was just, like it says, vantage points, different perspectives of people who were there at the incident.
Yeah, I think the trailer was a little misleading because it leads you to believe that there's a lot of different witnesses that put pieces together to solve the crime, and really, in my opinion, there was only like 1 or 2 vantage points, and the rest were just showing flashbacks. It was just flashbacks, like Lost.
It did show flashbacks, but it showed flashbacks from different people's perspectives.
Right, and so it was a little misleading for me comparing it to the trailer, but it was a good time in the cinema. Honestly, I would recommend that you see it in the theater because of there's some good action sequences, explosions, car chases. That's really why you go to this one. The plot, the idea was sound, but it just felt like they rushed and copied and pasted everything together, and it lacked.
I would say rent it, and I didn't really like it as much because I felt like it started out at intensity 8 and it ended at intensity 8, and I felt kind of gypped of a climax because the whole time I was waiting for another conspiracy or for Dennis Quaid to be
in his underwear.
Gross. He's old.
Okay, Matthew Fox. Doesn't happen.
Anyway,
she likes the hot guys.
No, I didn't think there were any hot guys in this. I didn't think anyone was overly attractive in this movie. I think there wasn't really a love story.
Okay, but I'm married, but you got to admit, Matthew Fox is a good-looking guy. To a woman. To a woman. He's a good-looking guy.
Okay, but what I was saying was it started out in Intensity 8, it ended at Intensity 8, and so it was just kind of
it was very
flat line. There wasn't anything that kind of made you, I don't know, just feel like major climax and then a resolution. It just was what it was.
Well, there was one funny part of the movie, and we're going to give this one away because it's funny because the direction was pretty awful.
Yeah.
Some great quality of actors in this movie. Again, Dennis Quaid, Forrest Whitaker, who just won an Oscar for his role in The Last King of Scotland, and Matthew Fox, and some other great actors and actresses like Sigourney Weaver. But there was a part where there was a little girl that was crossing the street, and all of a sudden, you see these movies where she's crossing the street, she looks, there's this car barreling at her, and she just stops and stares at it and just waits for the car to hit her, and it goes and it shows this over and over and over again, and you're just going, oh my god, and it's just horrible because
she stands there for about 2 full minutes, just standing there waiting for the car to hit her.
I mean, at least, come on, director, at least have the girl trying to figure out what to do.
Right.
Like a deer in the headlights, not just. Okay, so.
It was just a little game, and I felt like it didn't do any of these actors any justice.
It didn't.
They had huge names, Matthew Fox and Dennis Quaid. I just felt like it just left so much to be desired with their acting ability and talent, and Forrest Whitaker.
So much left for the imagination. Right, Brindy?
Right.
Anyways, so we're going to give it 1.5 socks off, viewers, and again, this is Movie Critical. We hope that you can visit our other reviews on YouTube, on MySpace, and on our website. It was a pleasure chatting and reviewing this movie today. We recommend going to see it, but it's probably...
Rent it.
It's probably forgettable enough. If you have a big screen TV, you can rent it, but again, you're going to want to see the action sequences on big screen.
I just think all the movies right now that are out, don't waste your money going to see Vantage Point. See it when it comes out to be rented.
Okay. See you soon.